millions of dollars of capital to small businesses throughout Texas and the Delta. And they sometimes aren't able to engage with the people we serve daily, which are entrepreneurs. And so we're going to kick off this event starting with a panel with some amazing folks, and then we're going to move into the roundtable sessions, which I will let Margot manage, because I have no idea how that's working. Any questions before I get started? Yes, ma'am.
You just might want to mention that this week is sponsored by Google Fiber.
There you have it. And so there's restrooms right behind there. There's drink and food right there as well. And I'm going to have a seat and we'll get started. Jody's already walking around.
That's right.
And if you can't hear, please let us know so that we can talk louder. All right, so today I feel like we should be elevated. Thank you, Mike, for sitting up straight. I appreciate that. So today we have Jody Newman, who is the Chief Friendly Officer. Did I get that right?
Yeah, Chief Friend.
Chief Friend.
Yeah.
I like the officer.
Super casual. Just
super casual. Chief Friend at the Friendly Spot. Many of you know this great place as a way of not only commerce, but bringing community together many a times. I can't say enough about Jody. Jody has spearheaded and committed to serving other entrepreneurs as she has felt the successes and the pains of being an entrepreneur. Jody is also has inherited and adapted with Hills and Dales.
Yes.
Has Alamo Food Street Truck.
Alamo Street Park.
There we
Food
go.
Truck Park.
And also had Tuk Tuk. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And also beers.
B&D Ice House.
B&D Ice House, and her husband actually builds systems to hold very good beer.
Tractor system.
All right. So if you need good food, good eats, but more importantly, if you just want to talk shop, Jody is a great person to bend your ear, and she will give you many advice. Yeah. On my left here, I have Mike Taylor. Mike Taylor, Bankers Anonymous and Cedarcrest Capital. I believe Mike is a very approachable finance person. I say finance so we get used to the word finance, but Mike also writes for the Express News, Business Insider, and has helped some of us at this table in sharing how we can improve our communication with financials. 1, 2, 3, and I'm sure there's many more. He's actually been a part of our LiftFund work that we do in understanding our cost analysis, and then also helping entrepreneurs understand and helping me make things very simple about business planning, budgeting, reconciliation, that's not going to church, and confessing, but the financial side. The next person I have is Magaly Chocano. She started SWEB in 2008, and SWEB Development is a full suite group that provides social media, does app development, great marketing. She actually is the lead for our website, so LiftFund.com is actually designed and managed by SWEB Development. She's also a client of LiftFund as well. So I sent the panel some questions. Is there anything else I missed that you'd like to add? No? I did all right? I messed up on yours a couple, so I apologize. Oh, all right. Okay. All right, so my first question I'll just throw it out there and then you guys can riff on that. What situation prompted you to start your business?
I'll start.
Go.
I have a theory that you only start a business when you're super unhappy in your current job, when you're super desperate, and you're just angry at your boss who doesn't value you, and things are going terribly, or you're fired. That's my theory. I don't know if it's 80% true, 90% true. That's my theory. That's why I want to get out of my job, and it took a while, 6 months researching what I could do before I started my business. What do you all think?
I actually would say that's why I started my business. But it didn't take me 6 months. It took me a night of thinking about it and talking to my husband. I'm a little more impulsive. So, yes, that's why I quit my job. I was not happy with my boss, and I quit and started SWEB.
Mm-hmm.
not sure. My husband would not have quit his job to do this, but he was laid off, and I pretty much like went in my bathroom and screamed at a pillow, and then walked out like, what are we gonna do?
Just
So
like
it's
that.
true, yeah, just like
I mean,
that.
I think you have to be crazy to start a business.
Yeah.
You have to be mad and a little bit insane.
Yeah, recently we were having a conversation at Café Commerce about, so how would you define entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship? And so what are some of the adjectives that you all believe you represent as entrepreneurs? To me, as Mike mentioned, risk taker is probably my biggest one that comes to mind. Do you have others?
Yeah, I definitely think being a risk taker, if you're not one, the day you decide to start your business, you develop that skill of risk, you know, to the point where you do things that are crazy. Thank you. That's my husband, Steve, number
Steve.
one.
Hey,
That's
Steve,
right.
how's it going?
Drink provider.
Yeah, in the
Drink
world.
provider.
Yeah.
Where's the beer?
Yeah. He's like, please tell me how to coffee.
Awesome.
I don't. Yeah, I think risk taker. I think it's a person that's willing to work like hell. You know, if you make it a year, you're a person that works like hell, and that's it. And it's way more work than you ever thought it would be.
I would say actually, if I love to read business books. There's this one book called The Hard Things About Hard Things. I don't know if anybody's read it. Anyway, it's phenomenal. And one of the greatest things as I was reading it, have you ever read a book that takes you through an emotional roller coaster? Okay, well, that's what entrepreneurship is. And this is what this book did. And it was like taking me through all of the incredible highs. It's actually today I'm in a major high because yesterday was a major great day for me. But tomorrow I can assure you that as soon as I start, plus like, I don't know if you've done your 5 strengths. Has anybody done their strengths finders? Okay, number 1 for me, positivity. So of course I think everything is wonderful until they say no. And then I think I'm gonna like, you know, go die and crawl in a hole. So I mean my life is like this. And that's what this book is about. And that's what entrepreneurship is about. That's the truth. You know, there's incredible days and there's terrible days. But what you always know, very much like the stock market that I understand now from my friend Michael Taylor, who's taken us through the financials of my business for years, you know, at the end of the day, the only thing that you can know is that in business you're going to crash. But if you stay long enough, you're going to end up much higher than where you started.
That's great. I love that. I think risk taking and another, I think of my own family, I think not necessarily rule breaking, but some sort of disrespect for rules is probably useful. In my family, my wife and my 10-year-old are super duper rule followers. I mean, it's really helpful to be an employee if you're a rule follower. It's awesome. And then if you're a person like my 6-year-old or me, who's like, rules, they either work for me or they don't, but I'm not particularly, you know, controlled by them. You're probably a bad employee, but possibly a good entrepreneur. So.
All right. So knowing that kind of sort of that side of the lens of entrepreneurship, what do you really do as a business owner, right? Is it that risk taking, or are you? If you had a pie chart and could chart out what your day looks like, is it risk taking, or is it putting out fires, or is it looking at your budgets? Talk a little bit about your days.
I think in the bar business, it's a little unusual because I'm also a mom, right? So I wake up at 6:30 in the morning, get my kids ready for school. The very first thing I do is I log on, I look at all my bank accounts to make sure nobody took all my money overnight. And then there I am, it's like 8:30, and really my businesses don't open until 3 or 5. But everyone else is working during the day. So I do the things that I can do during the day. I look at the payroll. I count a lot of the inventory myself. So I visit each location, I look at everything. And then 12 managers show up, 2 employees show up, 3 customers show up. All of that happens until midnight. And then at 12:05, I look at the sales. I put everything into my spreadsheet. I try to calm down, and then I go to bed. So it's like hours. Some hours you're not working, but you're always on because 38 people depend on you for their paycheck, which is a responsibility I could never imagine the weight of that responsibility, you know.
True.
Yeah.
Mike?
Does anyone know the Fort Minor song that we always hear at the gym? It's 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name. No. That's about being a successful rap star, which I'm not, really.
Obviously.
I don't know. I don't have any idea. Nobody? Fort Minor?
Moving right along. Fort Minor.
But that was cool that you remembered all that. I was like, I'm remembering all that. That's amazing. I think for me, it's like changed over the years, honestly. So before, I worked a lot in the business. So, I project managed, I did a ton of stuff within the business itself. As we've grown, I've hired what I really needed to do. I shouldn't be in the business for us to scale and grow. I need to work on the business. So in the last 2 years, I would say, I've been really concentrated on meeting people, seeing where I should be, strategically looking at where my business should be in the next 3 years. I have a very clear vision as to where it is and how we're going to get there. I have a strategic plan on getting there. I've worked with my team to get us there. Everybody knows where they're supposed to be and how to do it and whatever. And so my day-to-day today is, one, keep on making sure that strategic alignment is throughout all of my departments. And secondly, sales. That's a huge part of me, which I'm also trying to get away from. But I can't right now. I mean, that's something that's obviously very important, and my business is very connected to who I am. So that is just clearly helpful. But that's what I do.
When you first started, we'll start with you again, Magaly, over here on this side. Who did you reach out to? What did you do?
You.
Okay. All right, moving right along.
The correct answer.
No, but I did.
Number
Selena was our kids went to the same school together, and she got this job right when we started. And I had just left SWEB, I had just left my job, or I was thinking of, I don't know, I didn't really think that long, so I must have already been at SWEB, open SWEB. And she was like, oh my God, come to visit me. And I was like, oh, what a great idea. And she led me through, the beginning stages of figuring out, not what to do, I knew what I was going to do, but how to go about it. That's what I did.
All right. Mike?
I had an investment business in 2004, and my first meeting as starting out my business was with somebody who did something very similar to me. He had an investment business, and I sat down with him, and he's like, all right, where is your legal docs? I was like, legal docs? I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, don't even stop everything you're doing. Don't even talk to me. Don't talk to anybody. Go to a lawyer, which then was my second business meeting. But go to a lawyer to create proper entities. Investments would be specifically, you want to start with a lawyer generally to protect yourself primarily. But that was my first very useful business meeting, was with the guy who said, your second meeting has to be with a lawyer. That's what I would say.
To go visit a lawyer.
Yeah. And to create the entities that are necessary and prepare for success, Don't do it haphazardly.
Yeah, that foundation, right?
Yeah.
Jody?
Yeah, we did it haphazardly.
How many partners did you have?
So, within 6 months. Okay, 2005, I'm pregnant with my son. I see this picture of the friendly spot. I love it. We've got this friend. We talk about it all the time. That's going to be our retirement job.
Mm-hmm.
Retirement came early for my husband. He was like, the typical mid-30s guy. He had gone on 13 interviews. I remember the 13th interview, he comes in and he says, there were 30 guys that looked just like me in the waiting room for this job. The nightly news.
Just to interrupt, now imagine if there were 30 guys.
Now there's not 30 guys that look like him.
There's clean shaven at the time.
Yeah, he's very clean shaven. He would wear a white business shirt. I mean, I see essentially you. That's what my husband looked like. He had some kind of suit, white shirt. He always had nice shoes on. He had a great haircut, and he was defeated. He was working at Arnold Carriers in the morning. He would leave at 3 o'clock to go ride not a tractor, forklift, okay? Because he's a busy guy. So our friend that we saw this picture with says, hey, let's open the friendly spot, right? Steve and I take the commission from his last big deal at his job and the money in our savings account. I still have the copy of the account. We had $250 left. And we did it. Within 6 months, our account was cleaned out by that friend. We brought in investors to try to figure it out. So within 6 months, the state paperwork that Michael's talking about that we had no idea, it had 6 different names on it, literally. So we were used to not having a lot of money because our personal account had gone down to $250. I was still working at USAA, so I was gainfully employed and I had benefits, which is perfect. We sold our house, we moved to this rental. That was like 700 square feet. I got pregnant, which was like unbelievable how that happened. We don't see each other. We don't see each other. Like you drove the forklift. I'm going. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And then at night, one time Magaly and I laughed. I learned how to do social media from watching YouTube videos. At night, I put my son to bed at 8 o'clock and I watch. The thing is, it's okay if you don't know. There was no Café Commerce when I was around, and really the only business person I really knew other than my friend that knew about the food and beverage business, which now I realize is a blessing. We would have never taken this risk without him, so I'll give him that, is our attorney. An attorney that my husband met at a mixer just like this. He helped us. It was really the only person, and to this day he's still my attorney, and to this day he keeps me from making wrong decisions because I think personally, So yeah, I mean, it's like, I knew Magaly before she had SWEB. She knew me when I worked at USAA, It was my husband before a beard. Getting it right in the beginning, I would imagine would be so helpful. Like had I had Michael Taylor's friend, probably would have been different. All of y'all today have the opportunity to come to LiftFund or to go to Café Commerce and ask to talk to the best in this city about exactly that. You're gonna get the Michael Taylor treatment.
But I also think, and sorry to jump off from that, is that even if you have all those resources, you have to make mistakes. You're gonna make them. Because when I started, I couldn't pay for a lawyer. Actually, honestly, I still don't really have one. So, I know, like Legal Zoom was my friend for a long time.
Yeah.
And then, funny enough, we work our office is in King William, and it's like a strip of office spaces. And like 2 years into SWEB being alive, some lawyers moved in to the space 3 spaces down from us, and I was like, you will be my lawyer. And I love him, and he doesn't really charge me, and I just walk in, and we're friends, and when I have a question, I ask him. But that's not, I think that there's definitely resources that are important to certain people and other resources that are important for others. And I think that when you have partners and financial stuff, totally yes. And I got a lot of help with my contracts because I do software development, which is also very important. But really, my best piece of advice is find mentors that are gonna bring you up, that are gonna help you with just things that your strengths are not in. And I know I keep on talking about strengths finders, but like, you need to know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. Don't work on your weaknesses. You will never get better.
Yeah.
Like,
Your strengths help your weaknesses though, right?
Huh?
Your strengths do help your weaknesses.
I don't think so. Like, I don't think so.
I sometimes overshadow it.
I think my strengths, I know what my strengths are very clear. I know where my deficiencies are. That's why I have Michael Taylor for my money piece, right? So I'm like, I don't care about money. I really don't. I could care less about it. I don't know what my bank account number is. I've never looked at. I don't care, right?
You're gonna have a heart attack, and we're gonna have a heart attack.
I know, but my husband is the one that does all my which is true. But Michael Taylor, having him as a mentor has been amazing. Now at least I don't care about it, but I understand it,
Right.
and that's what's important. So I also want to put that out there that I think that there's lots of different types of help. And
Yeah, so that goes to like team, right? Who's your team? Who's in your back pocket or in your iPhone or phone that you can call and connect with when shit hits the fan or when you're in a low, and how do you pivot, right? I think that's super important. I think going back to the money issue, Magaly, I know you don't like it, and now you obviously understand it. Talk to me a little bit about when you first started your financial experience, right? Like, how did you manage, this is LiftFund, so obviously I'm gonna throw a financial question in here. And then how did you evolve a little bit as you've grown as a business? And then we'll let Mike go after you too, so he can give some thoughts and really some tips maybe on that as well. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, which one of you goes first?
Oh, I'll go.
Okay.
I do want to say in like your first year or two, and even sometimes now, my head is so down in doing what I'm doing, I don't maybe realize there's a fire going on. The second thing is, the lawyer that I did have, I paid with percentage in my business. When I bought him out, I paid handsomely for that. So that I will say, don't give away percentages of your business in the beginning, because where I was happy to pay that money, there's a part of me that's like, damn it, it could have been mine. We came out of the recession. We had a very small amount of money. In total, it was $55,000. We sell liquor, so of course, liability is a big deal. We spent a lot of money to make sure liability is fine. We started realizing our coolers were going out really fast because they're outside, right? Same with our POS systems and everything. The dirt is everywhere. Like, it's pretty crazy. So we would take $270 a month and we would put it away because a new cooler was $2,700. Okay, so we had an operating account, and our payroll came out of our operating account for like 2 years. We didn't know any better. And we had a savings account that we would allocate the money to, like for a new cooler. $270, 10 times, we'd have $2,700 in the account. And if the cooler went out, we had the money cash to go get it. We had no credit, it was just that's how we did it. I would imagine doing everything with cash is not super smart. But it's the only thing we knew at the time, and so as we grew, our knowledge of what to do with the money grew as well. But the foundation of, oh shit, we don't have any money, I think is there with me every day. I think about it every day. I don't want to be back there, and that's really the truth. I think. Where my husband is sort of flying by the seat of his pants, I'm really not. I don't want to go back there, and I don't want to have to do this again. Right.
So Jody, did you, when you started, I'm going to ask a couple based on that. One is, did you, log into QuickBooks, or did you use an Excel sheet, or did you have a bookkeeper? What was that like at the beginning?
I would, at 8 o'clock at night, put my son to bed, I would go in and I would input all of the invoices for the beer at night. So my husband was the bartender, and I did the books the best that I could.
Right.
I didn't have QuickBooks for probably 18 months.
Okay.
I did have a spreadsheet with multiple pages, so I would break
That's
it
good.
down to like beer, food,
Mhm.
soda, labor. You know, I mean, it was sort of like, it was very basic, but it was enough to be able to tell when there was something wrong,
Right.
which
right.
I will say is maybe the best part about it. But, so I did it at night.
Yeah.
I worked full-time at USAA, and then I would do all of that at night.
So, I just to, again, quick assessment of, it doesn't have to be complex, right? But just managing it.
Yeah.
And you saved even though you were broke. So
Yes.
good for you.
We
Is
didn't
that
take a
most
paycheck
people
for
don't?
18 months out of the business. And our first employee, when we hired her, and then we hired a second employee, my husband went from being a bartender to being the yard position, which we still have. And so yeah, I mean, it was just, we did not take a paycheck out until we finally got a CPA like a year later, because we had to file taxes.
Right.
And he said, y'all can have a paycheck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Magaly?
So I mean, really the first thing is, I always try to start really organized. I really do. Like, that is my intention.
So you're the
And
girl
so-
who buys the little clips? And
Oh,
the
totally. You
pens
should
and
say
the
yes.
folders?
I don't use them, but they're all there. And so I went to, Home Depot, and have you ever seen those like booklets, those like long books, and you like write the check number, and then you're like,
Yeah.
that's how I thought I was gonna keep track. I really, I have a super financial deficiency in general. Like, I'm so positive that the problem with me is that I would say, oh, they said yes, let me spend all that money, and then the check would come in, and I'd be under that, it's just a problem. It's just a problem.
That's my husband. That's my husband. I don't know.
And so what happened actually was, I started the business a year, I hired my first employee like 3 months in at an hourly rate. So literally like what I was earning, I was paying to her. So I made rent and I paid her. And then about a year and a little bit later, my husband got laid off, which was a big problem because we were living off of his salary and benefits and everything. So we were totally screwed. And we had no savings because I had handled our financial situation at home for many years. And so, we were in a big problem. And so he came in, and he's very strict, in sort of, this is how he sees things. We see things very differently. And so I was like, great, you handle what I don't want to handle, which is that. And so he started learning and sort of educating me on how to do things and sort of how to save and how to, then of course now we're 17 employees with, salaries and benefits and, 401ks or simple IRAs. But anyway, what we started doing too was then finding help. And again, it was really all Michael Taylor to like, okay, this is what we have. What do we do? We've got a little bit of money to invest. We want to invest in. So this is actually really funny. I thought that I had a little bit of money to invest, and I was like, Michael Taylor, I want to invest in the stock market because that sounds like a great idea. And he's like, okay, well, before you do that, I'm going to show you a couple things. And so he created a 5-week course for me, 5-week course. Every week he would come to my office for an hour and a half and educated us on what investing really meant. It changed my life. I was like, what is this? It was so amazing that after that, like, of course I didn't invest what I wanted to invest. He totally changed my mind. Had nothing to do with the stock market. We decided to do something completely different. But most amazingly, then I brought that into my company. And now all of my employees have had, Michael Taylor's been incredible and has given them this course. And now they're investing. So, what we've really done is gone from really potentially being completely bankrupt and closed because of my own problems is, we got a loan from LiftFund at first, which I truly mismanaged. I didn't know how to manage it. Then we paid that off. pretty soon after, and now we just got another one for growth that's not managed by me. And I can see it working like very differently. You know, we've hired, it's awesome. It's awesome when you know about it. Doesn't mean you have to like it. You can be terrible at it, but have somebody that knows it, loves it, manages it well, and keeps you informed. And that's been our thing.
What are your thoughts on the comments and what you do daily?
Well, first of all, I mean, I love the version of me as told by my marketer. Everybody needs a Magaly in their life to market them. It's really good.
He's really
Jody has similarly been a great marketer for me. Thank you, both of you.
I've had a panic attack in front of them.
That's usually when you call someone, right? That's right.
You know, I actually am the rare person who kind of enjoys spreadsheets and stuff, but most people, in my experience, don't go into business because they really love like filling in little spreadsheet boxes with numbers, because that's super boring and weird. But I actually do, but you know, most people I meet don't, so that's not why you get into it. I guess we've talked about this, and I've worked with some of your clients, LiftFund clients, and you know, the important thing is to remember, even if you are financially averse or feel super weak, it is still a responsibility to do something even as basic as fill in the little boxes. It is not your CPA's job. It is not an external tax preparer's job. It is your job, and every transaction has to be recorded. Because if you don't, you're going to end up paying too much in taxes or too little. In one way, you're losing money. In another way, you're in trouble with the IRS. So, like, everything has to be recorded, even if you were super averse. So figure out a way, like, get your husband to do it. So that's seemingly, I mean, and we've, you know, work with your clients who are like, well, I've been in business for 18 months, but I don't really, I let my CPA do that. Well, then you don't get the signal that, in fact, you're overpaying for your beverages or you're managing your loan wrong, right? So that's super important, obviously. And, you know, but I guess it all comes from recognizing you don't like to do it, and then so have to come up with some solution to do it well enough, or have somebody do it well enough. That would be the baseline thing. One of the things we did that was, I'll just mention, and I don't know if this is even a LiftFund product, maybe it is, and therefore I'll be giving you guys a little boost, but I'm a super believer in lines of credit for businesses.
Oh, I forgot that. Incredible.
I mean, every business, there isn't a business, like we've said, I've said this, there's no business that doesn't need an extra 50 grand loan, obviously, but on top of that, every business needs, even if you don't need the money now, to start working on a line of credit. Maybe it's you go down to your local bank and you say, I'm just looking for a $25,000 line, I don't need to use it. And then after a year, you go, hey, that $25,000 line, I know I used it for 7 days last year, but I'd really like a $50,000 line. And then eventually you'll be up to a $125,000 line, and that's going to save your butt at some point.
It is.
And that's been useful to you guys.
Very
right?
useful.
I don't know if you have do you have a line of credit? Or?
I do not have one.
You need one. Let's start.
But
Is that a LiftFund product?
I see the
I
point
literally don't
of
know
it.
if that's a LiftFund product.
No,
you have
it
lines
is-
of credit, or you don't?
We have,
Okay.
we do, they're just very difficult to manage because, Mike, in theory, ideally you tap into, you replenish, you pay the interest, but many folks, going back to Magaly and Jody, just like, I don't know how to manage my money. And so most people actually max out on their line of credit.
And it becomes just like a loan.
And it becomes a loan.
Sure.
And so there's definitely some education around a product like that, I apologize, that needs to be addressed in terms of, and then just because of the economy, folks who had lines of credit, they've been reduced, just because of market issues as well. But we do have one, it's just, we've seen over and over that folks end up extending that whole amount immediately versus really managing it, so that it then comes in for that rainy day or that one deal that you're gonna have and you're gonna need that capital ASAP. Yeah.
I want to bring up too that, so to Michael's point, that most people are opening their business because they're unhappy, you know, spite from their previous employer, are probably not in the best position to obtain any of those products. I banked with the same bank from the very beginning, and 2.5 years in, when I went to like buy the house that I was renting, they were like so no, everything was no, that I'm pretty sure I pulled in front of my house, I cried in my car, and they got out, and I didn't want my kids to see that I cried. And my husband's like, what is going on? And so the thing is that maybe it's the, also talk to your friends about what financial institution to use, because I saw the commercials. They love San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
But they don't really love my kind of business owner, okay? I mean, it's not.
No,
I
or
mean-
mine. I mean, I actually didn't
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, LiftFund was the only, my first loan was the only place where I was able ever to get any money. And now, and then actually the second, so we paid that off, and then Michael Taylor was like, I know I always call you Michael Taylor instead of just Michael.
I do
just
like the
love
sound
it.
Michael Taylor.
Yeah, I like, or MT. But then he told us about, he was like, Magaly, you should really get a line of credit, because if a building ever comes up that you want to buy or something you need fast cash, you should get a line of credit. I was like, we're never going to be able to get a line of credit. Like, we had, you know, I had really bad credit, and my husband had okay credit, but, you know, we were maxed out, and we were never going to get it. But we were like maybe 4 years or 5 years into my business, and I didn't realize how much we had grown and how much potential we actually had, and we had paid off a loan, and sort of, we had really kind of grown into our own selves, you know. And when we went to Chase, they gave us a pretty big line of credit, and then we went to Broadway Bank. We were like, well, let's try it one more time. Let's see. We got another one, and now my husband's like a bit obsessed, and he's like, well, maybe we should go somewhere. I was like, yeah, go get another one.
I'm calling Terso right after this.
Well, we got
Seriously.
2 lines of credit.
Wow.
But to Selena's point, like, it's not that useful. I wouldn't advise, this is a very risky thing. I wouldn't advise it just to do it to max it out. Get it if you can do it strategically,
Manage it,
and you can
right.
manage
Yeah.
it, and have it ready.
And not
Counts.
necessarily use it.
Right,
That's right.
try not to use it.
No, I mean, the idea is to have it so that, and really in our heads the whole time it was, if a building comes up that we can buy, this will be our down payment.
I love that,
because we don't have cash, you know. I mean,
And
enough
that's,
anyway.
and I would say, you know, so I like that phrase that you just said, we grew into ourselves. So many folks, you have a brand where you've started a business, and it's almost, my mom used to have this, well, she still has it, a swan picture, and I tell the team all the time, and settling into it is so important to know, first, you don't have to do it alone, right? Obviously, family is a huge factor in small business, and then key partners like Michael Taylor and others at Café Commerce to figure out, like, how do I navigate better so that if I come up against a gap or if I have a fall, I can get back up, right? And I know that Jody has served as a mentor, has served as a chief sort of rah-rah at times for folks when they're like, this is not gonna work. And I say that because it's so important to talk. Many times, I think Magaly said, or you said, I'm kind of like in the throes. Look up occasionally, get a breath, you know, take a walk, something like that. I'd like to ask you all in terms of, you know, your challenges. What has been the biggest challenge for you as a business owner? Well, you can say more than one.
I'm sitting here thinking about Magaly's line of credit, and so I'm distracted by that.
That's
and I'm
all right,
thinking,
that's all right.
I have my own line of credit that I give myself, and I have a bank account at the running spot, and each business I have, and the name on the screen, you know, you get to nickname your account, is oh shit. And I'm thinking, as she's sitting there, like, I'm thinking about her perspective, because she's like, wow, what if I find this building that I want?
Yeah, that's right.
And for me, it's sort of always been like, oh shit, what happened?
Yeah.
Isn't that a different, it's such a different perspective,
Got a
right?
yin and a yang going.
Yeah,
But
very
this was just
interesting.
like you. This was always like, I need my cushion. I was like, what the
Yeah.
heck do you need a cushion for?
Yeah.
The cushion is to sleep on. You don't need a cushion for anything. I mean, that's like, I'm like,
Oh,
stop
shit,
with the
that's
cushion.
what I
We need
need
to
it
go on
for.
vacation. You know, I mean, that's just like you.
I think maybe there's a couple things that I think have been the biggest hurdle for me. I've had to become a person, become good at things that I'm not. That is difficult.
That right there? Okay.
Is that a human baby?
I think you have to sort of allow yourself to try to, you know, do lots of different things. Maybe you never thought that you were going to be this or that. You know, when I look back, when I think of myself, I never thought I'd be a bar owner. You know, as I'm sitting with, I'm on the board of the National Bar and Nightclub with all these other bar owners, and I had to say, you know what, Jody, bar owners are awesome. They're not like, some of them are sleaze bags, but you're not one of them, and you know, you have to be proud of that. There's always going to be things. The other thing is that the things that you think are going to become problems are not. Like, you know, plumbing is a problem. Your lease, your landlord, your situation in buying a building, your whatever, that is going to be a problem. When you're super excited about signing that lease, that's probably the only time you're ever going to be excited. I mean, there are just some things that are so unexpected.
Right.
And so you have to really be ready for that. I don't like firing people. That's like a, like, it gives me an ulcer, but guess what? You have to do it. You know, over the years, people have stolen from me. I've had to learn how to get over that easier. Just things that you never thought in a million years you'd be handling. A problem occurs and you want to respond to it personally, but the insurance company and the lawyer tells you you can't. I mean, these are all things that when you go home at night, you're not any different. You know, so one of the biggest hurdles is you have to learn how to be you where you're at. You know, I don't even drink beer. That's something a lot of people don't know. I
You
don't
do
even
drink wine, though, right?
I drink wine with wine.
Good.
See that my cup says coffee is
Keeps
me going until it is acceptable to drink wine. Right? I mean, the thing is, yeah, you're gonna change. Becoming an entrepreneur is going to change you.
Yep.
It is, and just, you know, be ready for it. I think you can do it.
Magaly?
I agree with everything Jody said. I would include learning how to grow. That was something that was very interesting in my own path. I was very lucky in the way that we grew. Honestly, I really have always thought I have sort of a little lucky star. Actually, my logo has 5 stars because when I was 5 years old, if you asked me what I was going to be a star. And so it didn't matter what. I had no necessarily a choice as to what kind of star I was going to be, but I was going to be one. And so I know it sounds really kind of kooky and weird, but like I really feel like I have a little angel on top, and that's where my positivity comes from and all of this. So it was very hard for me to realize like all the downs. All the ups were fine with me, but all the downs and how to deal with them. So within it was the growth factor of it, the financial growth and not growth, and the number of employees and how to handle that, and then like I remember thinking, God, when I reach this number, that's success, right? And then I was like, I reached the number and I was like, what was I taught? That's nothing. No, now let's go here, and I'm like busting my ass to get there and figuring out how to get there, still with, with my team being happy, with my team being on board. Still, I have 2 little girls. I've been married for 17 years. My husband works for me, with me, for me. And still managing that, which thankfully, if he wasn't in my life, there's absolutely no way I could have done what I've done. But no way. Like, without him, forget the financial part of it, but like everything else, he is the one that takes care of my girls and picks them up every day, takes them to soccer, goes to the doctor, did you do this, did you do that, buys the present, and he lets me focus. That is something that I'm just super lucky to have. But anyway, I think that the growth thing, and actually I'm really into growth right now, so that's like my one thing that I think that has been most complicated to grow into on one hand, and then to learn how to keep on growing.
Behind every successful woman is a man in the background.
I'm gonna go with you.
In the case of my successful wife. You know, I'm on phase 2 of being an entrepreneur. My first business crashed. But starting then with the sleepless nights, insomnia, I never had trouble sleeping at night until suddenly it was just this panic attacks type of thing. I never had panic attacks, unfortunately, in my business. That was hard. And then I know another challenge for me is, unlike Magaly, I'm the opposite, where she has an idea and she's like, all right, I'll start tomorrow. And I'm like, I have an idea. All right, about 18 months from now, I'm going to start that idea. You know, I have a new innovation. I'm just going to have 12 months of thinking about it, and that's my problem. Is
So
like actually doing the thing. And sometimes, you know, this happened 2 days ago. I wrote an email to somebody proposing a thing that I wanted to do, and I'm like, I told my wife, she's like, yeah, that's what I've been saying every month for like the past 2 years. I've been doing that. Like, yeah, but it took me 2 years to come around to finally, you know, proposing the thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my problem.
Yeah, I want to go, Magaly, and I think we have to wrap up so you guys can get started. But growth. One of the biggest things and challenges that I think every entrepreneur faces, okay, not every, but most, is like I've started my mode of apparatus, right? And I have what I'm doing and I'm doing it well. And maybe there are times when my customer says, I need that, but I'm not, I'll send them somewhere else or not be responsive, or an opportunity comes along. And thinking beyond like hitting that target, right? And actually thinking beyond that target for more. Small businesses are super important to the economy, but to your financial wealth as well. And so if you have a budget right now that you're working on, you know, push yourselves a little bit, right, more to bring in more sales. And then get trained on how to do that sales even better. Because what you bring in only helps that trickle effect of you being very successful, your family life improving. You will have sleepless nights and hyperventilate. But at the same time, try not to stay static. And if you're failing, reach out for help, right? It's so important if you see that red flag that you're able to say, hey, I need to pivot here. I don't know how. Who should I go talk to? There are many folks out there that can help you, but you have to take that first step, that first email, that first phone call. I'm going to pause here, and if anyone has a question, I think we could probably take 2, because we have 5 minutes until you move into the next phase of networking. Is that okay, Marco?
Yep.
Yep, okay. Anyone have questions?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
How did you deal with failure?
How do you deal with failure?
I guess I'm the only one probably can answer that one.
Fail? No, I think
I feel
everyone's
like
had
I'm
a failure.
yeah.
Sulking for 4 years. Therapy. Sorry.
Okay.
I mean, those are real answers in my case. But
And you also pivoted after you failed, right?
yeah, but it was like 4 years of semi-sulk pivot. Yeah, it's hard.
It is hard. Jody?
It's so funny. I was actually just talking with my husband about this last night. So we opened a place on Broadway called Untitled Chapter. We owned the building. We partnered with somebody. It was a good concept. What we're all enjoying about San Antonio also in some ways is creating big problems for small businesses. The rents are going up. Things are getting more expensive. People with a lot more money that are a lot better funded than you are competing for that same space. And so, because I had the Friendly Spot and Eat Bar, my husband had his business going. What Tech was doing, I thought was great. And it was a strategic decision to close it based on the environment that was going on around us. Last night, my husband tells me, you know, that thing with tech still burns me a little bit. I have not thought about that in forever. I mean, I said actually at the end of it, about 3 months before I ended it, that's when I had my Michael Taylor moment. Everybody in this room can have one, a Michael Taylor moment. I'm sitting there with him. I'm pretty sure I had a white piece of paper and I was scribbling stuff on it. He's like, it's okay. Go with your gut, you know. But the thing is that I didn't see it as a failure. I saw it as it happened. I learned a lot from it. And but my husband, he feels like, even though he feels like we made a great decision, he feels like we failed a little bit. I don't know. It's maybe a difference in, you know, I'm pretty positive. Maybe I just.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of to tack on to what Jody's saying again. I think my number one strength again is positivity.
Right.
So it's like I don't see them.
Yeah.
Good to do.
I don't see them as failures. Like I'm like, oh shit, I made a mistake. Oh well, okay. So what am I gonna do now? Boom. And I'm like, I'll figure it out. Like I really, and actually, I encourage my team to actually make mistakes. I'm like, figure it out, make mistakes, because I rather you learn from them than never have them. And nobody, by the way, never has them. So I think it's like, I think failure is a really big word and kind of an ugly word. And, you know, I would call it a little mistake.
One more question. You have one? No, you're good? Yes, ma'am.
How you went from, how you took the leap from employee to entrepreneur, meaning like a day-to-day, like how you did it, or you didn't have a routine anymore, and you don't have deadlines, so how you push yourself to.
So from employee to entrepreneur is your question? Okay, how did you do that?
Mine's super quick. Actually, I quit one day and 3 days later, because I'm just like that. But you know what I did with my last paycheck? So everybody was like, oh, you're going to work from home? And I was like, no, I'm not going to be working from home. I'm going to go rent a space. And I don't care if I'm broke. I'm going to go rent a space. And I rented a little 200 square foot, $400 a month space. That, with my last paycheck, I went to IKEA. I bought myself a nice little white desk, my little black MacBook Pro, and a phone. And that day, I had my husband make my desk and my phone, and the next day I was ready for business. But what business? What business? But I looked. I had a couch. I had a little sitting area. I was like my friends over. It was awesome. But you know what? I pretended. And let me tell you something. And the most important piece of advice I ever got, and I actually lived it in my own skin, is perception is everything. When we launched SWEB, which was the platform that really took us, which by the way doesn't even exist anymore, we landed in Time Magazine, Business Week, ABC News Live, Fox. There I was. There I fucking was.
With your desk.
You know, with my damn desk in 200 square feet. And guess who called me a week later? Al Jazeera from Qatar. Can you build these children channel apps? And I was like, damn, yes I can. They didn't know who I was. They had never seen me. They just saw me in all of this press. And they thought I was amazing. And I was like, damn, yeah, I'm amazing. I have no fucking clue. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's how you pretend, because nobody knows differently. By the way, you're the only one that knows differently. So don't let yourself. Go check out Amy Cuddy right now in your little power poses.
Confidence. There's no confidence. Jody, you're
I was not that. I don't have a desk today. That's how
a bar. So.
it just sort of, my whole office is in this pad. I think my schedule was the most important, because I had to have time for everything, because I still have a full-time job, and today I still schedule myself the same. But I'm a little more fluid. You know, last night I'm on my porch with my mom, and I get a phone call from one of my Café Commerce mentees, and they're like, we just passed your house and we see you with your mom. Can we stop and ask a question? And I'm like, sure, you know, come on. You want a glass of wine? You know? I'm the Pinot Noir vigilante on my block. But so, yeah, so you're sitting there, and so that's one of the things, right? At 9 o'clock at night, I've trained myself to be business ready.
Yeah. Always on.
Go right back to it. I'm having fun with my kids, boom,
Right.
business ready.
Yeah.
So I think your schedule is very important, and maybe that is part of it. You woke up every day and you went and sat at that desk at that time.
Because if not at home, I would have turned on the TV.
Schedule, yeah. I would say schedule.
Mike?
My day, well, I quit on a Friday, March 31st. February 28th. March 3rd was a Monday, and I was like, I'm going to go to yoga at midday. I was living in Manhattan, and I was doing yoga at 10. So like yoga, midday, I'm a business owner. Kevin Bacon's wife at the time, Kira Sedgwick, also a famous actress, was doing yoga with me that same day. Monday, my first day, I'm doing yoga with Kira Sedgwick, so I had my little Magaly moment. Didn't last very long. I never saw her again. I'm kind of a business owner, just yoga in the middle of the day. It was super awesome. It got bad after that, but yeah.
That day was good.
I guess I remember the feeling though in the first couple months of, you know, I lived in Manhattan for probably 10 years at that point, and I'd never seen like Manhattan in the daytime. You know, I got up at 5:30 to go to my Wall Street job, and then I'd get home at 6 o'clock and it was dark. So Manhattan in the middle of the day was like an amazing thing, and I remember, but this image I kept having was like, I just jumped out of the airplane, I don't have a parachute, I just jumped out of the airplane, no parachute. It was like a really freaky feeling. So I don't have any good advice, I just have like Euro-centric thing, and no parachute, it was awful.
Well, thank you all for your time today. I super appreciate it. I know you're super busy. You all, I'm hoping you gleaned some stuff. You can always visit our site, talk to our team at Café Commerce and LiftFund, our WBC as well, Director Margot Fuentes put this together, so thank you, Margot. Stick around for the roundtables, and I'll hand it over to you, Margot.
Yes, great. Thank you. If we